Welcome to the House of Wellness, and you could not get a more idyllic wellness location. The waves are lapping at the shore, the blue sky, the beautiful warm breeze. It can only mean one thing, Jack.
That's right, we're heading back to Bali.
We are, Jack. It's too beautiful to cover in just 1 week for mine. I always feel like if I get 7 days up there, I'm good for 6 months. But, Nick, 2 weeks, I feel fantastic for the whole year.
Yes, we discovered in last week's episode, Darcy, the more time you spend on holiday, the more likely you are to embrace the habits that are actually good for our health.
Well, that's right. This week we are heading back to Sukhavati, your amazing wellness retreat, Darcy. We're going to catch up with Abbey Holmes, who last week began her wellness overhaul. She had that fabulous head massage with the oil. It's on my bucket list. Some amazing food, and did some laps of her own private pool. So what's in store for this week, Darcy?
Well, she's a bit of a superstar, Abbey, from the AFLW. First female to kick 100 goals in the Northern Territory League. And she trains hard. She's in the gym regularly and pushing herself. So we're going to try and get her to slow down a little bit, Jack and Joe, and see if we can get a little bit of yoga, a bit of meditation and a little bit of time out at Sukhavati.
Well, speaking of finding your happy place, I try cacao. It is the superfood used in ceremonies to open your heart and bring on a state of bliss.
We catch up with the Aussie freediver who's finding serenity down deep.
Plus some tips on managing scars, and we introduce you to some natural ways of helping keep your urinary tract intact. I mean, bit of an ugly word, but trust me, the urinary tract really is one of the kings of the body.
Yeah, I'm going to take your word for that one, Dr. Neil. I like talking about meditation, Joe, something I've been lucky enough to find from a young age. There's a big family in meditation now, and I know you're a pretty passionate practitioner as well, Joe.
Absolutely, and you're right, there are so many different ways of meditating. You have to find a practice that's right for you. For me, I start the day with meditation every day at about 5:30. For me, it's a guided meditation with an intention for the day, and I often journal around that as well. But there's lots of different ways to do it.
That's right, Joe. There are many forms, including transcendental meditation, taught by our own Mark Bunn, our resident Ayurvedic expert at Sukhavati. Mark's a former AFL player and author of a best-selling book, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Health. We're really lucky to have Mark as our expert up there at Sukhavati. And Abbey Holmes is about to join him. Let's check in with AFL superstar Abbey Holmes.
Hello, Anna. How are you?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
Very good. Salad, please. Oh, this looks amazing. Look at the colour.
I love it. Abby, you go as hard as anyone I think I've ever met. How are you finding slowing down in a place like this?
It's been lovely. Yeah, it's not often that I get to really step back and relax and refresh. So from the minute you walk through the doors here, I just feel like time slows down, and yeah, I'm just totally embracing everything that it has to offer.
Well, speaking of slowing down, Mark Bunn is up here, who's a legendary teacher of meditation and knows your space really well. So you're going to learn meditation today. What are your thoughts on that one?
I am. I've never really been a big meditator, so I know that Bunny is an absolute guru in this space. So I'm going to be a complete student of his game today. I guess the biggest part is probably starting. So how did you first get involved with TM?
Yeah, I was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
My darling sister and her soon-to-be husband had just learnt. He was a Victorian wicketkeeper, a cricketer, so at a very high level, and they thought it would help me, and probably thought I needed a bit more balance and a bit more chill and sometimes a bit short with people, and we often get the best instruction from people outside of us, and they saw in me I'd really benefit from having that sort of calmer, more relaxed sort of side to me as well.
That's funny. Some people would say that about me as well, that I've got no chill.
Yeah, yeah, we love a bit of chill.
Yeah.
And I loved it. From the first time I learnt, I just had this beautiful experience, and I would actually meditate in the toilet cubicles. You'll love this. So before a game, you know, everyone's kicking footballs, and back in my day, it was rock and roll music and Pat Benatar, and I would sneak off to the toilet cubicles and do my TM for 20 minutes. So I loved it. And what I really loved was just the simplicity of it. It was effortless. Transcendental meditation is a very simple, natural mental technique where we use a sound, a special sound called a mantra. And that mantra allows the mind to go from the superficial level of everyday thoughts. People have lots of thoughts, busy, stressed, and to what we call transcend. Transcend means to go beyond. So the mantra allows the mind to just effortlessly settle down, a bit like a wave on the ocean. You know, the surface of an ocean, we have waves crashing and bashing, very busy, a lot of activity. But at the bottom of the ocean, the founder of Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, says it's completely silent. It's calm. So in TM, what we call Transcendental Meditation for short, the mind settles down and experiences what we call the source of thought. So no thought, it's beyond thought, and it's just our natural state of what he calls restful alertness. And so when we come back out of that experience into everyday life, we take those qualities with us. So we're engaged with the busyness of life, but we remain more calm, more alert, and more restfully alert within that activity.
Well, I'm the kind of person that is a bull at a gate, going 100 miles an hour 100% of the time. So I don't necessarily stop and just really centre myself and be alone with my thoughts, as some would say. So I'm excited to learn, I guess, the processes around this and how it can just add to my life.
Yeah, beautiful. And I resonate completely with you, Abbey. I was exactly the same. And what really struck me about TM was this idea of the analogy that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi used, the founder of TM, was like pulling an arrow back. He says, we all want to be successful in life and have that activity and drive that you've got. But to really do that successfully, we first need deep rest. And so TM's like pulling the arrow back first, so that then when we release the arrow, it can go forward with dynamism and power.
I was really surprised how quickly I did get the hang of it. Mark basically just gives you a mantra. We have a couple of goes at it. I think we meditated probably in 3 different bouts. The first one, it's hard to stop your mind from racing, particularly being somebody who does have a really active mind, who's always jumping from thing to thing. But by the 3rd bout of the meditation with Mark, I really felt like I had the hang of it and I was able to keep, I guess, focused and really centred in my own mind. I got so much out of my conversation with Mark, and the main thing being how similar we are. He's always been hectic in his life, always busy as well, but he actually takes that time out of each and every day just to be alone in his thoughts and centre himself, and it's an amazing feeling, actually. I felt as though I had this massive burst of energy walking out of that session with Mark.
So the practical application of TM is ideally 2 sessions a day of about 20 minutes. So most people find that first thing in the morning when they get up, and then sometime in the afternoon or early evening.
This is definitely something that I could see incorporating into my own life. I think it was more so just sitting down with somebody and learning is the first step, which a lot of people probably don't think they have the time to do, but I feel that as soon as you sit down with Mark and you learn the process and you get the hang of it, it's certainly something that I'll look to continue in the future.
We're beachside for our House of Wellness Bali special, and how lucky are we to have access to so many beautiful ocean locations?
And I absolutely love being by the water, Jack. There's something about that sea air, and 97% of the water is in the oceans, and 70% of the globe is covered by water. So it really is the source of all life.
Which is why we need to protect it. And an alliance of 45 countries, including Australia, has pledged to raise $12 billion to protect the world's coral reefs.
And Joe, as we know, the Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest reef system, and in some positive news, the UN hasn't got it listed on the heritage site as in danger, so we've had some positive improvement there, which is fantastic.
Oh, it really is, Darcy, and the money that's going to be raised is going to help stop pollution and overfishing, so it's not just about protecting pretty tourist spots.
And Joe, speaking of beautiful tourist spots, Bali is doing incredible things to go green. There's no heavy industry, but there are a lot of tourists, so there are a lot of organisations and people working very hard to keep it a tropical paradise.
And of course, tourists can do their bit by making more sustainable choices, like being mindful of the environment, supporting local culture. You know, I reckon we Australians are pretty good when we visit Bali, supporting those small and local businesses.
I think you're right, Nick. Let's head back to that little slice of paradise that I love. It's called Sukhavati Bali, and check in in with Channel 7 AFL commentator Abbey Holmes.
Abby, how are
Hello,
you?
Dars.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's a bit awkward,
I know.
both in white. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Now tell me about you and yoga. Are you keen?
So keen. It's not something that I've done much of, if I'm honest. My body and injuries doesn't allow me to get into some of these positions, Dars. They get folded up like pretzels, let's be honest, and no laughing.
I'm not buying that because you're fresh from doing the SAS 10 days in the Jordanian desert, no problems. But yoga's got you a little bit nervous, I sense.
Yeah, I'm very nervous. Got sweaty palms.
What could possibly go wrong? Let's go and check it out.
Let's do it.
So the yoga practice is very important as part of the whole Sukhavati experience. When people are getting treatments, they're obviously lying down most of the time, or they're sitting in a steam bath or a medicated bath. But we also know that physical activity is very important for the nervous system, strengthening of the joints. The yoga is very important because yoga actually means union of mind and body. So really integrating and bringing all the treatments into sort of something practical that they can then take back to their home life.
Then slowly rotate your knee.
You look
Yeah.
very bendy.
Bendy.
Very bendy. Me, not so much. The experience of yoga was interesting.
Rotate again.
Agu was an amazing teacher. Of course, when he asked me about my injuries, probably the easier response would have been what injuries I don't have. I've had 4 operations on my right knee.
Okay.
So I'm completely bone on bone in there. I don't have any meniscus left.
Okay.
And then I've got a chronic hamstring on my left side.
Or hamstring, yes.
Yeah, and a bit of a dodgy lower back, but I can manage that.
You put both hands on the ground, one by one leg back.
But he was incredible. He really, I guess, tailored the class to my body and what I could do and what I can't do.
Bend your left knee, straight your right leg. Yoga actually good for every people. More than race, than a country, whatever religion. Because yoga is belonging for who have body, mind, and soul. And there are no competition in yoga. Both legs together, engage your core.
Oh, God. I'm no yogi, and I'm not going to claim to be a yogi. I'm not overly flexible or bendy, but always great fun to take part in a yoga class, and I think Darcy might have pipped me at that one. He was far better than I was. Yeah, I talked about a pretzel earlier.
Release.
Oh. I guess my training background is quite high intense. Obviously, from my sporting background into my training, I do hybrid sessions, HIIT sessions, so they're really quite intense and fast paced. So I think it is important to mix it up every now and then and try and slow down the pace. And yoga, Pilates, they're perfect examples of that. You don't have to be going, hell for leather the entire time. And I really enjoyed the change of pace and slowing it down with that yoga session.
Balance.
Hey, there we go.
One, hollow,
Come on, Dust.
3, release. You see a beginner, but you're positive.
There we go.
That was impressive, Abby. I tell you what, you balancing on one leg was super impressive. I found that really hard. How'd you go?
Well, I can balance, I just can't bend. So the balance was good, but anything that is, seated, knees bent, that's not my vibe. But really enjoyed that. It was awesome.
Well, you're looking really zen now. It looks like you've sort of lowered the pulse rate a lot. Would you get into that a bit more or not?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just a different style of training to what I'm used to. And yoga, you traditionally think, really slow paced, which it is, but it's challenging as well. Very, very challenging. So some of those poses,
It's harder than it looks.
It is.
Beck, my wife's supposed to me, it's not a competition. I'm like, everything's
Yes,
a
it is.
competition. Exactly. No, well done.
Thank you.
You're on fire.
Well, right now we're hearing a lot about blue zones, which are the regions of the world where people seem to live healthier and longer than average.
And it all began back in 2004 when researchers noted that this island off Sardinia had a really high concentration of male centenarians. And it's all a little bit speculative at the moment, but fascinating area of research.
Well, what these so-called blue zones have in common is they live primarily a plant-based diet. There's very limited red meat and loads of fish, and of course great community connections, plenty of laughter and lots of friends.
And as well as all that, Jack, they had this other #1 ingredient in their daily diet, which was beans. Beans of every type, and they're all packed full of healthy nutrients.
Fascinated by the blue zone studies, Dr. Nick. And Bali mightn't be declared an official blue zone just yet, but for me it is a slice of paradise. So after experiencing the rejuvenating effects of Sukhavati Bali, let's find out if Abbey Holmes agrees.
It is the final day of my stay here at Sukhavati and I'm absolutely shattered to be leaving. I've had the most amazing time, learnt so much along the way as well, and yeah, met some incredible people which make it all the better experience. Obviously, each person is so different, and when you come here, the doctor basically prescribes your treatment plan for you as an individual. So I've tried as many different treatments as I possibly can. My favourite one has been the oil on the head. That was the most incredible experience I've ever had. But yeah, I've loved each and every one of them.
One of the most common questions we get when people leave Sukhavati is how on earth am I going to maintain this lifestyle when I'm back at home? My heart goes out to them because I struggle with it myself. But what we advise is just to have a very practical approach. We know it's impossible to maintain the same lifestyle routines as at a resort, so just to be easy about it, take 1 or 2 things that maybe they didn't come to Sukhavati with as part of their routine and just start with those. It might be having a lighter dinner 3 or 4 times a week, or it might be doing some early morning yoga. Basically, just be easy on yourself. Don't think it's going to be possible to do everything, and just over time, add 1 or 2 more elements to that home routine.
I feel like a new person, Carr. I'm absolutely shattered to leave, and a couple of things that I've taken away, probably the importance of slowing down and actually relaxing and taking a breath. Really being kind to yourself. We live in such a chaotic space back in Melbourne in Australia, so that's one thing I'll take away. And also the meditation. I really enjoyed that with Bunny. It's something that I haven't necessarily utilised in the past, and I will look to do that from when I go home.
You look brand new. You look like you've had a refresh, and I know your world gets crazy again when you get back to Melbourne and you're straight back into AFLW and all the things that you do and crazy SAS stuff. It's insane what you do, but hopefully this has been good. Love to get you back another time, and it's great to have you up here.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Have a safe flight home.
I will.
Good to see you.
Thank you. It's an amazing feeling, I guess, once you come in versus once you go out of the doors here. I came in pretty tired after a very long AFL season. I was quite exhausted, quite drained, but I'm leaving feeling really energised and uplifted. I feel like I've got an extra spring in my step, and I can't wait to come back already.
Well, Abbey is positively glowing. Das, sign me up,
We would love
please.
to have you there, Jack, no doubt about it. And we are giving away an all-inclusive trip to Sukhavati. Stay tuned for the end of the show. We'll give you all the details on how you can win a bit later on. And I know the Sukhavati team, Nick, loves seeing Abbey transform before their eyes.
And I absolutely love that everything that Abbey did was centred around rest and rejuvenation. Because some of those super active holidays, you feel like you need another holiday afterwards just to recover.
Dr. Nick, I love swimming in different oceans when I'm travelling overseas. And coming up, we're going to meet the Aussie freediver who's finding serenity under the sea.
Plus, I try the ceremonial drink that's said to bring bliss. Back after this.
Whether it's by accident, through mole removal, or a planned surgical procedure, every scar tells a story. I've still got one on my shin from the time I ran full pelt at a coffee table. I am so clumsy. But the good news is scars don't have to leave their mark on our future. Care silicone gel sheets help manage the physical appearance of scars. They can prevent red and raised scars from ever forming when used as soon as the wound has healed. But if you miss this opportunity, never fear, because Care is effective in flattening, softening and fading red and raised scars, whether new or even up to 30 years old. Existing scars may be itchy or uncomfortable, especially if they're rubbing up against your clothes. Luckily, Care can also help reduce the thickness and the itchiness of scars. Simply use the Care self-adhesive sheet that can be cut to the size of your scar. Apply it directly to clean, dry skin. It's soft, comfortable and flexible, plus you can wash and reuse it. While scars are unavoidable, not everyone looks upon them with fond memories of adventure or resilience. For some, it may impact their confidence or cause anxiety, and even limit things like clothing choices or activities. Thankfully, we can now choose what life stories are written on our skin.
Earlier we were talking about blue zones, areas in the world where they have a high proportion of people aged over 90 and 100. Can you imagine, Jack, not just living longer but being really active too?
And I think what we're doing now really helps with that, whether it be diet or exercise or our mental health. It's a full-time job staying healthy.
Well, it absolutely is, which is why I think you need to be kind to yourself if you let something slip. I think sleep is so important, because trying to function on only 3 to 4 hours sleep, I mean, it's the worst feeling.
Couldn't agree more, and a recent sleep study of 20-year-olds found that missing a night's sleep can actually speed up the ageing process in the brain.
Can you believe, like, back then you'd pull all-nighters, like when you were 20? I couldn't imagine anything worse now.
Well, what the study found was that if you miss a full 24 hours sleep, it can actually age you by 2 years. But the good news is that can all be reversed by just one night's proper sleep.
Well, something I have discovered that helps me wind down and prepare for a beautiful night's sleep is a hot cup of something soothing. And as I discovered, it can actually be a really spiritual experience. Jordan, when we think cacao, we think about chocolate. How is it different from chocolate?
So cacao is the main ingredient in chocolate, but in any kind of commercial chocolate bar that we might find on the shelves in our supermarket, we're only really getting maybe 5% cacao if we're lucky. As we know, chocolate is full of other kind of additives like sugar, milks, other kind of preservatives. It's also actually a completely different form. So what most people put in chocolate bars is cacao powder, a mixture of cacao powder and cacao butter. But cacao itself, ceremonial cacao, is the full bean, which is in its full pure form as nature intended.
So just finding a comfy position and closing down the eyes and beginning to take some deep breaths in.
So how would you describe the taste of cacao?
It's very bitter, very earthy. Most people, when they try cacao for the first time, they're thinking it's going to taste like a hot chocolate because it looks like a hot chocolate and it smells like it, but of course it doesn't have all of these extra additives. A lot of people can find it quite strong and overpowering, but I find it delicious. I guess it's more of an acquired taste, and I would compare it more to coffee in its bitterness.
What a beautiful texture.
It is. It can come in many textures, so a lot of the times it might be quite bitty and piecey. It had lots of bits and pieces in it, but I've kind of perfected the recipe, I think, to make it really luxurious and nourishing for the body. And
I discovered cacao as a part of a wider retreat, and it was like it had all different pieces in it. It wasn't sweetened at all. It was like just this big pot of medicine. And something in my body it was like food for my soul. You know, it was like when your body just receives something, and every cell in my body was kind of like, oh my goodness, this is incredible.
when you're ready, just taking your cacao down and resting it in your lap. And you can close down the eyes again, and we'll just start to connect to the medicine in our cup.
So physiologically, it has an impact on the actual nervous system.
Yeah, so The benefits of cacao definitely lend themselves to that feeling of relaxation. And how that works is cacao increases blood flow to the brain and to the heart. It's a vasodilator, so it opens up the blood vessels, sends that fresh oxygenated blood around the body. You know, coffee, as a comparison, is a vasoconstrictor. So it kind of has that sensation of like tightness and constriction, whereas cacao is relaxing, opening. It's super high in magnesium, iron, calcium, so the magnesium is helping to relax the physical muscles, and the iron is helping to send this rich, beautiful, fresh blood around the body. It also contains some incredible happy hormones. So cacao contains the precursor to serotonin, contains dopamine and anandamide, which is otherwise known as the bliss molecule. The other thing that is actually my favorite thing about cacao is super special mechanism. It contains monoamine oxidase inhibitors, and what they are.
Fancy word.
or MAOs. A lot of people might recognize MAOs as being the first, before SSRIs became the main go-to for antidepressant medication, it was MAOs. And what MAOs do is they basically slow down the breakdown of serotonin in the body. So we're getting that hit of all those amazing chemicals, those bliss hormones, and we're able to experience them for much longer and basically have this sensation of being high off our own supply. So that's the sensation.
I mean, it sounds amazing, and I would like some of that.
Bringing your cacao to your lips to take your first sip.
People say that 50% of the medicine is in the sharing and the connection that you have with the people following. So the qualities of cacao lend themselves to helping us to relax in our nervous system. And as we know, being vulnerable and open is really what lends itself to deep connection.
How are you feeling?
Mostly feel very warmed, sort of internally, I suppose.
How did you find the taste?
It's beautiful. It's actually exactly what I imagined it would be.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but so creamy. I do have to say that we as people forget about food as nourishment and food as for the soul. And I love that you have reintroduced that to me. And meditation is my daily practice, and this is a completely different way of being returned to who I am and the sensations that are within. You're warming me with the cacao, which really sets alight all of my internal sensations physically, but also spiritually and from my heart. So that's really beautiful. Thank you, Jordan.
You're so welcome.
If I say the words abdominal bloating or mild fluid retention, everyone's response is the same. Oh, the discomfort. We've all felt it and know the impact it can have on things like how we dress and even the activities we do day to day. Fluid regularly leaks into our tissues from blood, and it's the job of the lymphatic system to drain the fluid and empty it back into the bloodstream. Fluid retention occurs when this fluid isn't removed from tissues. This results in swelling of body parts like feet, ankles, hands, stiff joints, and unexplained fluctuations in weight. Causes of mild fluid retention or bloating may vary. Hot weather, a high salt diet, dehydration, and the hormones associated with pregnancy, the menstrual cycle, and the oral contraceptive pill may all contribute. Thankfully, we can turn to the herbal world for support. Traditional Western herbal medicine brings us dandelion leaf, which helps temporarily relieve mild fluid retention through increasing urine output. It also helps promote healthy liver function. There's also celery seed, used in traditional Western herbal medicine, which helps relieve mild rheumatic aches and pains and may reduce abdominal bloating. Finally, stonebreaker, which has a long history of traditional use in Ayurvedic medicine. This leafy plant helps maintain urinary tract health. and may increase urine output. Like many herbs of the world, they can all be found in supplement form. Look for one that's 100% Australia made, with a dual action formula that has added vitamin B6. Also make sure to reach out to your healthcare professional if symptoms persist, because we should all get to wear our favourite jeans.
Das, speaking of wheeze,
Were we actually talking about that,
Well,
Jo?
we are now.
Okay.
one of the things I love most about having a dog is that when I take her out for her walk and wee, you get to meet all of the neighbourhood dogs and their owners. It's so beautiful.
Well, Jo, we know that staying socially connected is really important for our own mental health, but it turns out being socially connected is a really healthy thing for our dogs to age in the best way possible as well.
I mean, who knew there'd be a study in positive ageing for dogs? I love it.
Study for everything, as you know, and it found that being around people and other dogs was the #1 factor in healthy ageing in our much-loved dogs.
Well, we'll see you out on the streets with Daisy and Dennis Das.
All the Ds.
Picking up our doggy doo-doos. That's what we do. Meanwhile, we're by the ocean, and knowing all of those creatures are swimming around underneath the surface, for some people is very calming. For me, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. I don't like what I can't see.
Well, some people, Jo, have absolutely no fear and they take it to the extreme. Aussie champion freediver Rosie Richards is in that category, and she believes that the key to personal growth is found down deep.
The thing that sets freediving apart from any other kind of sport in the ocean is that you can really be part of the marine environment. When you're scuba diving and you're creating loads of bubbles, you're almost like a person looking in on another world. But with freediving, you're able to dive down silently, hold onto a rock and just watch. And the longer you're able to stay there really still, the more life you'll see and the more it will kind of come to you. I think when people think of freediving, they think of people taking it to the extreme level. But in reality, that's only a really small percentage of freedivers. For the average recreational freediver, people are diving to 20 metres of depth or less. That's the reality. And with that, there are far less risks involved than if you're taking it to more extreme competitive levels. One of the things that I love about freediving is it's so accessible. It's a really low-impact sport, just like swimming. But really, it depends on whether people are able to equalise or not. So we get people that are able to equalise really easily and able to relax underwater, and so they make it down to 20 metres on the first dive. But then you get other people that struggle a little bit more with relaxing and with equalising, and so they may only make it to a couple of metres. One of the key things with freediving is our need to conserve oxygen. So the busier our mind is, the more oxygen we're going to consume. It's really important to be able to go to a calm place, one where you're not stressed, where you're not thinking about what's happening in the future or what's happened in the past, but you're really, really present and focusing on the moment. It's also really important to be able to relax your body. If you're holding tension in your shoulders or your chest, that's going to burn a lot more energy as well. So meditation and freediving and yoga all have similar properties. It's really important to be able to relax, to zone out, and to really be present in order to freedive effectively. So we're going to isolate our breath into our belly, our intercostal area, and our upper chest. Something that people don't realise is that breath holding is something that is really easily trained. What we do is we do some 3-part breathing or compartmentalised breathing. And that's where we learn to isolate the breath into 3 different areas. And the more we do that, the better we are able to control that area so that we're able to take in a really big, deep, full breath and remain comfortable and not lose our relaxation. With freediving, if you take a huge breath and you're really tense and you're holding a lot of tension in your chest and your shoulders, that's going to ruin your relaxation. And so you're not going to have an enjoyable dive. So the better we are able to kind of tolerate that really full, deep breath, the better our dive will be. Just like seals and dolphins, us humans have a natural inbuilt freediving mode, which is known as the mammalian dive reflex. It's triggered in 3 ways. The first way is through holding our breath. The second way is being exposed to pressure. And the third way is from cold water facial immersion. And when I'm diving to deep depths and I get a negative thought enter my mind, I always think about the mammalian dive reflex and the fact that our bodies are actually built to do this. I think for me, freediving is really a form of meditation. And having worked as a teacher for the last 10 years and leading quite a stressful life, going into the ocean and freediving was a way to de-stress. And it's really the perfect place to kind of silence the noise of everyday life and really to connect with the present moment. And so for me, that was the reason that I wanted to become a freediving instructor. I think seeing the positive benefits that freediving can have on your mental health and your lifestyle as a whole was something that I really wanted to share with other people.
From the calming effects of the ocean's depths to looking after what lies beneath our skin, here's Hines and Zoe with some dishes to build our bones.
Bones do so much for us, Zoe. They help us move, protect our organs, and they're a storage site for minerals and blood cells. And how do we go and repay them for their service?
We go and break them, Lukey, either through sport or general everyday clumsiness.
Accidents can happen, but if you want to look after your bone health long-term, we can turn to the essential fat-soluble nutrient, vitamin K.
And there are two varieties of this vitamin that we can find in our diet. There's vitamin K1, which we can find in green leafy vegetables like spinach, and there's vitamin K2, which we can find in fermented foods like the sauerkraut I'm making today.
Plus, it's also found in dairy products, including everyone's favourite, cheese, which is the hero ingredient of my cheddar muffins.
And it gives it the flavour factor. But back to vitamin K2, it's essential for achieving peak bone mass, promoting bone integrity and strength.
Research also suggests it may help reduce the risk of bone fractures from conditions like osteoporosis occurring later in life.
It's a knock-on effect, Lukey, because weak fractured bones can impair our ability to move every day and, as a result, impact our overall health.
Our health is a game of dominoes, Zoe. Better absorbed than its counterpart, vitamin K2 also supports our blood health by helping our blood clot. Now, I know that sounds like a bad thing, but it can help prevent excessive bleeding.
And in addition to foods, we can also find vitamin K2 in supplement form.
Well, I think that's enough chit-chat for now because it is time to eat. Zoe, bon appetit.
Bon appetit?
Oh, do you love it?
Oh, come
The best dad joke ever. Get Nourished is brought to you by Go K2 Advanced Bone Care, a convenient, high-strength, one-a-day formulation to support healthy bones.
Slugging is the use of a thick petroleum jelly-based product as the very last layer in one's skincare routine at night. It's taking a good old dollop of something as simple as Vaseline and smearing it all over the face. So slugging gets its name from that sleek, shiny texture that's left on one's skin. You're left looking greasy and slimy like a slug. I think slugging has really taken off on social media because of its simplicity. Some of the benefits of slugging is that it helps trap water and hydration within the skin's layer, preventing transepidermal water loss. This is really important for people who have dry, sensitive or eczema-prone skin and can really help trap in any active skincare that you may have already used. Slugging is not essential to be taken as part of everyone's day-to-day skincare regimen. When doing slugging in your own home, use of a thick, hydrating moisturising cream or a night cream can be just as effective. Unfortunately, slugging is not something that I would recommend for patients who suffer from congested skin or acne, as it can cause occlusion of the oil glands and in fact trigger breakouts in the skin. Whilst there are no obvious downsides to slugging of the skin, it definitely makes washing your pillowcases a lot more difficult.
Oh, I am not a fan of Vaseline on the face. Slugging, no
Yuck.
thank you. Oh, that sounds horrific. Das, thank you so much for such a beautiful VIP tour of Sukhavati. It really is such a special place.
I know Dr. Nick's been there with his daughter Olivia. Hines has been there, Abbey Holmes. I'm feeling pretty guilty, Joe and Jack, about the fact that
really left out.
I am a little bit guilty, but we'll make it happen very soon, please.
Well, we've seen how Sukhavati transformed Abbey Holmes, and now is your chance to visit one of the world's best holistic luxury retreats.
And we're giving away not one, but 2 one-week stays for 2 people at the fabulous Sukhavati Health Retreat in Bali.
Everything is included: airfares, transfers, your own private villa and pool, treatments, yoga, massage, and the most amazing meals. What a treat.
It's very simple to enter too, Joe. You just have to head to the House of Wellness website. That's houseofwellness.com.au. The competition opens on the 10th of November, closes on the 18th of December, and we look forward to announcing the winners then.
Don't miss your opportunity to visit one of the world's best luxury retreats. And who doesn't love a trip to Bali?
Come back anytime, Joe and Jack. I promise you, your invite is there anytime you like.
Make sure you check out Gerald Quigley and Luke Hines on House of Wellness Radio this Sunday.
Big thanks, as always, to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. Look forward to seeing you next time on the House of Wellness.